Gaz, a pretty significant win for the boys on the weekend. Must have been out of you.
Yeah, it was. We feel over the last 3 or 4 games, the effort's been there. We've played probably 3 good quarters of football. And when you're going into the St Kilda game, that if we could put 4 quarters together, that we're a huge chance of winning that game. We spent a lot of time, having a look at them during the week, what their strengths and weaknesses were. We knew that, they had a lot of leg speed through the midfield, and that if we could put pressure on them and turn it over and slingshot it back the other way, that we're a huge chance of scoring. And just super proud of the boys' efforts. But that's just one win. Another great opportunity against Brisbane this week.
How hard has it been to keep that sort of belief within the group through a period of knowing that things got guys back and trying to tell them that it will get?
Yeah, it's been tough at times, but at the same time, there was just a few areas of our game that we weren't doing too well. We just had to scrap everything back and get back to the basics of football. Rocket implemented some new drills at training, and we've been training those drills for the last probably 7 or 8 weeks, and you can just see the improvement in those areas. And that's what the good sides do well. They do the basics of football well, and I thought we did that on the weekend. It was a great team effort. I don't think there was any one standout. Everyone did their job, played their role, and that got us the win.
As what you just mentioned, how do you explain that? Because all the Suns wins in their history almost have been on the back of someone standing out.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, everyone lifted.
Yeah.
Guys like Malcheski, who struggled, played his best. Everyone played their best game in ages.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Yeah, so true, Hammer. We've been talking about that for a long time. That at the end of the day, it takes the 18 guys out there. If we want to become a good side, we can't rely on a handful of guys. That everyone has to play their role, do their job. And that happened on the weekend. We had maybe 4 guys down back that had 15 plus possessions, which hasn't been happening in the past. We've been talking a lot about our backmen giving us a bit more run. They did that on the weekend, which made it a lot easier for the midfielders and the forwards as well. Giving them the opportunity with some quick entries inside 50, and that's what we'll talk about this week as well. That it was a team effort, and that we've got another great opportunity against Brisbane, and hopefully we can finish the season off well with more wins than losses.
So Brisbane shouldn't pose a threat for you guys. All things being equal, you're better than them. Mm-hmm. But you've lost games to them in the past that you should have won, and they seem to conjure something about this game that you guys don't. So how do you just do the business? Because if you play your best, you beat them.
Yeah, I agree with that. We believe our best is good enough to beat them, but we need to make sure that we bring that. I agree with that. It was a disappointing loss in round 4 against them. We went into that game, quietly confident that if we played the brand of football and the style of football that we wanted to play, that we would beat them, and that was probably our most disappointing game for the season. And from there it just. Obviously we haven't won a game. We hadn't won a game since round 3 up until the game on the weekend. So, we'll obviously sit down. We'll have a look at them during the week like we do every other week, and we're confident if we play the brand of football we played on the weekend, we'll get the win.
Gary, obviously, away from what haven't seen this really good news seeing Jake come back in the reserves. What role do you play as the club captain in, trying to convince a bloke like Jagger and also, Dion as well, that their future lies in the Suns and they should stay here in the club?
Yeah. I've had a chat to them both. Look, it's not about putting pressure on them. At the end of the day, they need to make the decision on what they feel is right for them, their family. Obviously, we want those 2 guys hanging around the football club. They're a big part of this football club. They're valued around this football club, and they're important to our football side. So, I know for Jake it was about getting back and playing a few games first before they started talking contracts, and I don't know where it's all at with Dion, but I'm sure the club's pushing hard, and hopefully we can get both those guys locked away in the next month or so.
What did it mean for you guys to see Jager playing in after such a long battle that he's had?
Oh, look, it was just great for him. He's been through so much over the last 18 months or so, and I think everyone around the football club sees the work that he puts in. He's probably the most professional guy at the club, and you just saw him through the had plenty of down times as well where he just was a bit unsure about how the injury was going to go through the rehab period, and super proud of the efforts for him to get up, get back out there, and for him now to be about just getting some run in the legs, getting that match fitness back, and then when he's ready and the coaches feel he's ready, he'll be up for selection.
What about your own form? I mean, there was lots of talk at the start of the year about your form at numbers and stuff. How have you felt with your form in the last couple of weeks? Have you felt like it's gone up a level?
Yeah, I'm feeling good at the moment. I feel like I'm getting the run back in the legs. As you all know, I missed the last 3-4 weeks of pre-season and all the pre-season games, which is a bit disappointing because I felt my pre-season up until that stage, was pretty good. But that's injuries, that's part of the game, and I knew it was going to take me a bit of time, to get that run in the legs and start to feel good again, and I'm feeling that now, and I'm just hoping that I can finish the season off strong and help the team get a few more wins.
As it's the explosion we're noticing, you're talking about the endurance, but the last couple of weeks you've had the confidence to burst out of packs, whereas you were looking to dish up, you didn't feel like you could break away, you weren't trying to break tackles, but it's kind of evolved in that regard.
Yeah, I won't go into detail, but there was a few injuries that was restricting me from doing that early in the season. But I'm getting on top of them now and feeling good. And you're right. I mean, that's such a big part of my game. Is that contested ball and those second, third efforts, being able to explode out of stoppages and so I'm feeling good now. We've got 8 games left, and hopefully we can finish the season strongly.
You talked about your best football being good enough to beat Brisbane. I don't think we've seen it. Like you've beaten a side on the weekend, but what I think this side can do, you're not close to that yet. Do you agree with that, or do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I still don't think we put 4 quarters of football together on the weekend. There still were patches. The last quarter was disappointing. I think they outscored us in the last quarter, and we spoke about that at 3/4 time, making sure we finish off the game strongly. So I'm sure we'll have a look at the last quarter during the week and look at the areas that we can improve. But you're right. We want to compete against the top sides, and we're happy with the win, but that's just one win. We can't be satisfied with that.
Continuing on from the talk earlier in the season and concerns about your form, Melbourne media in particular came out and said it shouldn't be traded to Geelong. What do you say about chatter like that?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I haven't got an answer for that. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's welcome to their opinion, and that's the industry we're in. People are going to have their opinions on certain things, but for me, it's about focusing on what I can control. And that's that's training as hard as I can. Staying on top of my injuries and making sure that I'm giving 100% every weekend, and that's really all I'm focusing on.
Aaron, obviously there was a disappointment for you a couple of weeks back with getting captain of the senior team. Was that something you needed? Have you taken that message on board and lifted your game, or did you feel like you needed to lift your game?
I don't necessarily think I needed it in a sense. I'm not one to get complacent or I pride myself on training hard and making sure my training intensity is at the elite level, and there's a few areas in my game that I just needed to improve, and Rocket was quite clear with that, and I made sure that I went back and tried to respond as quickly and as most professional as I could. So I wanted to try and make it a 1 week thing, which it ended up being, and now I've been back in the site for 2 weeks, and my body's starting to feel great, and I felt like my form on the weekend, I was starting to get back to my best, so I'm looking forward to finishing off the last 2 months of football really well.
Did you feel a bit unlucky in some ways, and I guess Rocket tried to admit it, that you were a bit unlucky, and the timing was there was a few bodies coming back, so it kind of gave him the opportunity to make a bit of a, well, not necessarily a statement, but to do what he did.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there was either 2 ways I could have gone about it. I could have either sulked or just taken it on board and try to learn from it. So I decided to take the second approach. It's not the first time I've been dropped, so I felt my form was okay. I had a few niggling injuries that were obviously hampering my game, so I just decided to take it on board and listen to what he said. And he's obviously my coach, and he wants me to be the best player I can be. So I worked on those things, not just in that one particular game, but throughout training, and I'll continue to work on that throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's just on Brisbane. Like, it's probably they tend to treat this game like a bit of a grand final, especially with the season they've had, and what happened in the last game with May and Mark. Like, do you expect them to be coming out extra aggressive, and are you sort of prepared to, weather an onslaught, I suppose?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're spot on there. It's obviously a big game for both teams. Going back to round 4, we were really disappointed with that game. As I mentioned, probably our most disappointing game for the season. So it's a big one for us. No doubt it's a big one for them, and we expect it to be a fiery start to the game. They're going to come out and be physical, and we are as well, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Are there any concerns there about, Stephen has kind of spoken about perhaps needing to sort of work on, not necessarily his aggression, but when he does use his aggression, so is that something that you maybe can work on about as well, considering it's the impact not just on that game, but also these 4 or 5 weeks following that?
Yeah, not just him. I mean, that's something we speak about going into every game, is make sure that you take that physicality and you do it in the right way. It's all within play. It's not behind play, and yeah. So I mean, no doubt that it is going to be a physical game, but I'm hoping from both sides that it'd be played in the right way, and I know all our boys are really looking forward to the challenge and hoping we can come away with a win.
I guess the Gats finally finals for the could we see that in 2017?
Well, I'm hoping these old legs aren't getting any younger, and it's been a while for me. And that's what it's about. That's why we play football, is to play in a premiership and play finals football. So I think for us, it's about finishing the season off strongly. I think the weekend, would have given the group, that self-belief that we probably needed. That we are good enough to win games of football. And the week before against Hawthorn, we spoke after that game and felt we played 3 good quarters of football. And we said, boys, we are good enough to compete with the top teams, but there's just a few areas of the game that we need to fix up. We need to get better, and it's going back to the basics that I spoke about before. So, looking forward to this week. Hopefully another win, and then what do we got after that? Another 7 games. Mathematically, is it still possible to make the finals? I think it is if we win all of them, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Your teammates, all of them, except the guys that have been brought in, have lost more games of footy in their lives than they've won. And they're 5-year veterans now.
Yeah.
How do you unlock because you're joking about it, but if you win a couple in a row, the 50-50 games suddenly become, you should go on a roll. It's good enough.
Yeah.
You just haven't done it throughout 5 years. But how do you convince them? How do you unlock whatever it is that's stopping? I mean, I know there's been injuries, but even when you won 3 in a row at the start of the year, you weren't playing as good as you could. Mm-hmm. So how do you? Yeah,
it's tough, Hamo. It is. That self-belief is a big thing. It really is, and I think the challenge, for us as a group, is making sure that we're staying positive during the week. Whether we win or lose. Obviously still challenging each other and driving standards, but at the same time, staying positive and knowing that, we've got 18 guys out there each week, just like the other team, and that we believe that we play the right brand of football, but we just haven't been putting it together for 4 quarters. And that's what we need to do week in, week out. The effort needs to be there. And we need to be doing the basics of football well. That's hitting targets we should hit. That's using your body properly, body positioning, running patterns, all those things that the good sides do well. And we've been working on those. And I think that we're getting a lot better at them. But it's going to take a little bit of time. And I know we've been around for 6 years now, but we probably didn't train them enough early days, and we're starting to do that now. And I'll just say to our supporters that I know we're heading in the right direction. That I know it's been frustrating for a lot of people. It's been frustrating for the group, but I'm confident that we can finish the season off strongly and play some finals footy next year.
Well, can I ask you one more? The first couple of years, you would have just been happy to get a game. The especially coming from a rookie list. But what's your goal now? Like, are you thinking, right, I want to be elite? And what do you think it is you've got to do to get there?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I got a lot of confidence out of the second half of last season, obviously, with Gaz and the midfielders going out, and I was able to string, a good second half of the season. And going into this pre-season, I just wanted to get as fit as I could. It was my first pre-season that I've done since I've been at the club, so I managed to get 95% of that done, and I felt really fit, and I improved my endurance, my 2 kilometre time trial by over a minute. So I knew going into this season that I was really confident in what I could produce out on the field. And I've got a lot of self-belief and a lot of self-confidence, and my teammates give me the confidence to take the game on. And yeah, I do want to be an elite player in the AFL. I do want to go to that next level, and I want to be consistent. I think if you want to be an elite midfielder in the AFL, you need to be consistent. It's got to be done over a couple of seasons. It can't just be done over half a season. So that's my goal at the moment, making sure that I prepare the best I can, and when I get out there on the weekend, it's just making sure that I use my assets, and that's hard running 2 ways, and then when I get the football, just trying just to do the basics well and just take the easy options. And if I see something that obviously other people can't sort of see, then I'll take that, and hopefully I can hit those targets as well.